Hi, my name's Glenn. This is Karen, my wife, and this is our bus. Hello, Glenn Denton here again, working on the bus, and today I'm hoping to work on this bed area here at the back. There's some things that have to be taken into consideration, especially being that this is a MCI coach. With the MCI coaches, there's an engine access point here that I've recently opened up. It looked like it hadn't been opened for years. I had to cut one of the screws off that was rusted in. The other two were missing. So this will lift up, but I'm just going to leave it just sitting there. Besides that access, there's also these accesses. And so when I cover this back wall here, I cut this piece here out here, so this can come out. The foam insulation can come out here. So likewise over there, in order to get into these accesses if necessary. So what I'm wanting to do is to a typical queen size bed is 60 inches wide and about 79 inches long. That's what my bed is in the house, and I'll probably just figure 80 inches long. And so the 80 inches will start at the back wall. Then the base, you want the base to be about 4 or 5 inches narrower than the bed. And the reason I say that is you want some good toe kick area. So as you're coming around the side of the bed here, you're coming around and it's a little bit tight. You don't want your toes just hitting the sides of the support for the bed. So I'm hoping to work on that today. The thing is with this whole project here is it's easier to work on this bedroom before I build the walls that segregate the bedroom. So, because I can get materials in and out and stuff like that. And then now that I've got this shower base cut where I want it, then that's going to establish the wall here for the bathroom. And then the bathroom itself here at this end will establish the wall for the bedroom. So I pretty much know where that stuff's going. So I'm gonna go ahead and build this in here. And for that matter, I could practice with the bedroom on a design because it's not gonna have equipment in it and things like that for the most part. Anyway, so I'm gonna work on that, see how that works out. And I'll produce some video on that, and hopefully that'll work out good. So thanks for watching. Now we save this kind of stuff. This stuff comes in handy. It's a nice angle aluminum, and you always want to save that kind of stuff for future use. So I think what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put, I've got some extra 1-inch foam, which is an R10 basically, the type of foam that I'm using. And that's what I have back here is the 1-inch thick stuff. And so I'm going to put some 1-inch foam on this surface and up against this surface. And of course I'll have to make it so this part here is accessible down here. When I do the front, I'll go up and around this part here that also comes out. And so that's what I'll be working on. Okay, so I've got this foam pretty much figured out here. I kind of wish I would have put this piece on first, then overlap this over it. But it's kind of nice having this being a little bit wider, being that it's narrower, especially right here. If it overlapped the other way, this would be even narrower yet. Not that it matters once it's in there, but when you're working with it, it's nice to have a little bit bigger piece. One thing about the bed with these things, you know, I used to have a bus years ago that we drove around quite a bit, and we got back from a trip one time, and it got to be so late we ended up having to stay overnight in it one more night, and the air conditioning didn't work in it, and it was like 100 degrees that day, and so we ended up having to park the bus like at 9 o'clock at night, so that we could sleep over in it, just to get enough sleep to get out in the morning and head out. And that engine heat was so hot, it just permeates into the bed. So the more insulation you can have back here, the better off you are. It was so hot that night, we ended up just sleeping on the furniture in the front part of the bus and didn't even sleep on the bed. So I'm hoping this will kind of help insulate the engine heat also from the bed. I'm going to completely wrap this in wood. So once I wrap this here, it'll be pretty nice, and it should receive the bed pretty well. So anyway, so we'll see how that goes. So I've got the OSB all cut back here, and I used a 3/4 inch sturdy floor OSB, mainly because I'm not going to be doing a lot of fastening of the OSB at this 2/3 of the back, because of the fact that I need to be able to take this off to get into the engine compartment. So I'm just going to put a few screws, maybe 5 or 6 screws across this front, down into the face piece, and then the bed, it'll be fastened to the floor, and it'll extend up onto this, so it'll keep the whole thing stable. Make it nice and flush on the front. I'm using some 2-inch screws. And later on, I'll fasten this to the floor. I probably should have set up a crate jig set up on there, but I can figure out another way to kind of toenail those screws in. And this should be pretty substantial for the bed to sit on. Okay, so I made about a 5-minute or maybe 10-minute plan for how I'm going to configure the space under the bed. And basically this is it. I don't know if you can see this very well, but so anyway, it gives me a little bit of storage space, and it provides access to the engine compartment, and I was able to, you know, kind outline the number of pieces I'm going to need, what sizes they'll be. And so I went out to the shop and I cut all these pieces here that are ready to go in. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the crate jig that a friend of mine sold me here recently. And so I'm going to use that and use it to mount this stuff to the floors. So I've made quite a bit of progress on my pedestal bed in the back of the bus. So I've got the framework all built. The top is right here. I've got a piano hinge on it, and I'll install that in a minute and show everybody what that is. But anyway, so I know this looks like kind of a mouse maze under here. But what I'm doing here is I tried to create some kind of storage here. So basically this little pocket here on the end, you know, I'm going to carpet the floor here, and I'm going to put some carpet squares on this, just glue them right to this insulation board. So a person can just slide their shoes under there or whatever at night. And then on this side over here, I wasn't able to really mimic that because I really don't want any storage on top of this engine compartment. So, or on top of this engine compartment access, I should say. So I'm gonna put some fiberglass insulation in here, and then when I put the lid on, it'll stay closed. And then if a person needs to get in here for anything, obviously you can just take the lid off. And one of the things about this is I'm not really sure just exactly what it is that would take place inside this compartment at the end here. I suppose if they were going to adjust the valves or get to the injectors or something like that. So basically a person could disassemble this pedestal and slide it back and then get in here to work on this if a person ever has to. So then on this side, being that side has the access in there for sliding your shoes under, then I just went ahead and did the same thing here just for quick storage, quick access. A guy can put one of those plastic bins in there or whatever. So the end on the main part of it here, I've got it open on the end. It's 30 inches wide here. And so a person can put stuff under here. There's lots of room here on the end to be able to just slide bins under, or you can even lift it up later if you want to clean in there. But that should make for a pretty nice compartment for storage. And then the carpet that I put down with pad will go up to the edge here, and I'll probably put a piece of wood trim across here. So I'll go ahead and show that progress as it goes along here, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so that's it for now on the bed project. So basically I've got the top setting on here with the piano hinge and all that stuff. I've got the access underneath buttoned up, and I've got the access on the side here for the for shoes and stuff on both sides, of course. And so this piano hinge is not only screwed down, but it's also glued down. These piano hinges tend to work loose after a while. Of course, it's not like it's being used every day. Probably be used maybe twice a year, 3 times a year, if that. So I'm not too concerned about that. But the bed, basically the box spring will come out to about an inch or so past this, and it'll be flush with the sides. And the sides really won't be visible. So I've got a piece of aluminum that I'm going to put on the end here just to finish off this end here, because it'll be visible from down through the bus. And of course I'll put finished materials on these faces here as well as the sides too. And then I'll put a door or something on here, probably just a removable door, maybe with some magnets or something. You just pop it off, get to your storage, pop it back on. I'm not going to mess with hinges and all that for something like that. This panel here is going to be fastened down where it can be removed for getting to the engine compartment if need be. And it's not fastened down yet, but it will be. So basically when you lift this up, I've got this carpeted inside here. These are self-stick carpet squares. They've been sitting in the shop for a while, like I said, and they're kind of lifting a little bit, so I'll probably end up having to just glue them down. And I went ahead and just pieced in little pieces and stuff, whatever it took just to get it covered. It's not like you're sitting there looking at that every day. And this whole box thing is screwed down with these Craig jig screw system here all the way around. And again, that can all be taken out if a guy ever needs to move this to get a true access into the engine compartment. So the top overhangs enough so that you have toe kick all the way around, so that you're not, knocking your toes up against the finished materials under there as much. And then the engine compartment itself, well, I call it the engine compartment, but it's really just an access to it. So it is right there. And so I've got that insulated with some fiberglass, and that will not receive any kind of storage. And this will be screwed down with about maybe 4 or 5 screws. It doesn't have to be a lot. And this side here will just stay where it can be hinged. So that's just another step that I thought I'd go ahead and build that thing before I build my wall here at the bathroom that separates the bedroom from the bathroom. I'll probably do this shower next, finish putting it down. I've got some ideas for that on how I'm going to use the bottom side of some of the cavities as plenum to distribute heat from one side of the bus to the other and things like that. So that'll be another project. But for now, at least I've got this bed figured out back here, this bedroom. And in that way, I can actually technically finish this entire room now the way this is. Anyway, so that's the video on the bed, and I hope everybody likes it. And it's definitely kind of a plan as you go thing. But that's how a lot of these projects on these buses are, is kind of a plan as you go. And but I think it worked out pretty good. So thanks for watching, everybody. Take care.